Hey guys, it's Jeff from TFF Deck here doing a deck profile for Jono Ritzau, except instead of him, he's too busy getting circle jerked. So we've got Bowden! Woo! And what was Jono playing today?
He was playing 3.5 axis with a lot of good cards apparently.
A lot of good cards.
A lot of good cards. So let's start off.
Yep.
Alright, so we have Spirit. This card, blowout card of the deck. There's no way you can lose if you resolve it.
Pretty much.
Even if you resolve it, you can still lose, but you can, put it back with cards like this, which is also a very underrated but good card. Accompanying the Spirit, we have 3 Leopard. This card is absurd. This card is basically a tutor for any fire formation card. That's what it does. You summon it, you get whatever you want. You can freeze back row, you can search a card with Tenki, you can get additional summons when you brick. This card just helps you get back into the game when you're losing, and when you're winning, it just secures your position and victory. That in games, it's like another monster, so you can get a bit of damage in with it, and it's not bad. So Jono's won a few games by just summoning this and attacking. I've won a few games by summoning this and attacking.
You just never brick with that card.
You can never brick. Sometimes you slide it out, when you feel like you're not going to get enough normal summons, like when you go second against certain decks, like books and stuff, you don't get enough normal summons, but if they're wasting removal on this card, it just lets your Spirit, go through, it's more secure, and just all around just clicks so well. This engine is probably the ideal way to run this deck. And then next up, accompanying those cards, we have Roosters. This card is absurd. We didn't run 3 because...
Not absurd, but... Absurd enough?
It's absurd enough. This card's good, but drawing multiples sucks. So, you run 3, you can draw 2, and then you summon it, and what are you going to do now? If you don't have a formation, it's a brick essentially. It just sits on the board. Sometimes you can get lucky, bluff a Tensen, just do cards like that by summoning a turn 1, try to get some value out of it. But other than that, the real interaction comes with the Spirit into the Horse Prince play, and, outside of that, it's just a good standalone card when you've already developed a board. You have dead Gyokous or dead Tenkis where you can just pop them off, search an additional card, and just go from combos.
That's right.
Then, Gorilla, standard, it pops monsters. You can get value against Hieratics with cards like Effect Veiler, cards like Book of Moon. You get value against just bad players, cards like Boar you get over, you just do shit. I don't know how much defense Boar has, it's never come up, I don't think that card's good. But all you do is swing, get a trap, pops back row, pitches off dead Gyokous, You just get a lot of value out of it. That, and, it's another Firefist level 4, let's make Cardinal, which comes up a lot.
That's fair.
The next guy, Dragon. Now this card, we've been mulling back and forth over. The card is kind of awful, but when you summon it,
it just does too much.
It's a big monster. It lets you get over World in the Prophecy matchup, which can be a struggle sometimes. It lets you OTK through popping 2 and special summoning another one, which also lets you try and re-trigger your Spirit, which is just insane. Other than that, people have been considering running 1. 2 just seem to suffice. 2 seem to be ideal, given that resolving fire formations puts a clock on your opponent, where this is at 2400 and it gets over almost any other card in the game. And this in the mirror match is very big. Oh, dirt. Coach Soldier.
Coach.
This card, good card, but also same as Dragon, where if you see it in spots where you don't want to see it, if you see it turn 1, it's not a fire kaya. So all you do is you can bluff like a Tensen, or you just hold it in hand and pray that your opponent, doesn't ruin you. But other than that, it makes Tiger King. That's good enough for me. Make Crazy Box sometimes, you get a bit spazzy. But Bear, 3 Bear, not 2. Anyone running 2 is bad. 3, ideal. This card is the nuts. You search it off your Rooster, you make it combos, If you have a Wolfbark and you have combo, you search the Bear. I've seen people running 2 Gorilla, 3 Bear. No questions, this card just does everything you want it to do and more, and if your opponent's running a deck with card Cards, just shit like that, you summon it, you get in for 16, and then you draw cards, You Gyokkou, you summon at 16, you search, you do whatever. Just lets you put a lot of pressure on your opponent and lets you put damage on board. Also makes Cardinal, which is huge. Really good card. 3 effect Veiler. A lot of mirror matches were expected. A lot of prophecy decks expected. This card helps you when you go second. And Jono, you know, likes to go second. He loves losing his dice rolls. But you play this card, you hit their Spirit, you hit their Temperance, which is a huge thing because them resolving Temperance and Secrets turn 1 just loses you the game a lot of the time because it's so hard to come back from that. But yeah, like against the mirror, it's good against Wolfbark because that's a card that helps them recover when you have pressure on them.
Has it ever been like dead or anything like that?
Yeah, like it can be a bad card because, you know, when you draw hands that are like this, a Tensu, a Gyokkou, stuff like that, like it's essentially a brick hand where this card does nothing, but the amount of times where it saves you games outweighs the times when you draw like multiples of this and like irrelevant cards. So running 3 is pretty much ideal. Like for this environment, maybe going into a different event, you can cut it down to 2, maybe 1, but for this tournament it was great at 3.
Alright.
For the spells, Dark Hole, this card wasn't seeing a lot of play, but it breaks developed boards. It's good against spellbooks. It's good against Hieratics when they can't OTK you. In the mirror match, it's really good because it helps you break developed boards. Against Giga, it's really good. Against bad players, this card's insane. And it lets you get in for 16 with Bear, which is good too. Book of Moon. Book of Moon, good card. MST, we've got 3 of those.
3 of those.
Card is insane. It's good against the Seal, it's good against Skill Drain, it's good against everything in the mirror match because they're all continuous spells that need to stay on the field to resolve. Sometimes you can get value out of bad players where you just pick cards off. Probably wouldn't run any less than 3. Card just seems absurd. Just a good card all around. Especially in a format with no Heavy Storm, I think you need to run 3 of these.
That's true.
2 Lance, card is good against spellbooks, it's good against the mirror match, and it can gain value against the hieratic build with Skill Drains main. Against Giga, it lets your Bears resolve. Good against a Lance, it just good against a Fiendish Chain, and it just picks off, you know, everything you want it to do. In the mirror match, it helps you beat their Tensen, helps you beat everything. Like this plays like Wisdom in the spellbook mirror match, where if their monsters are bigger than yours, and you know, like by maybe 100, 200, like stuff like Starhole where you Wisdom their Kaiku. Plays exactly like that, and it lets you get like just random wins in with Gorilla. It's just an all-around good card, and it lets your combo resolve with Horse Prince. So like their only outs become Warning, and Fiendish Chain just isn't a card to you. 2 Tensu. We had 3, we were testing 3 Rooster, we were testing a whole bunch of things, but 2 Tensu seem good because drawing multiples can be bad, and unless you're running, you know, a build with like maybe 3 Rooster and Rekindling, you never want to see too many Fire Formation spells that aren't Tenki or Gyokkou, but that's a different story that we'll get to soon. This card is just standard, you have to run it. 2 to 3 is ideal, 2 is best, in my opinion, in Jono's opinion, but you can run 3 and get away with it, and it's not too bad.
That's understandable.
2 Gyokkou, we originally had 3, very good card. But there's hands where you play to resolve this and it clogs your back row, and like it's not ideal to have when your hand isn't strong. Like it's good when you have a monster, it's good when they're kind of weakish, and it helps you secure position where like you hit a back row and, you know, like just lets you go through, and like resolving 2 of these in one turn comes up so much, it's insane. But 3 just seem to be kind of excessive, a little win more, and you can cycle this with Cardinal and such, which comes up. Essentially, like if you're resolving 2 and they're sticking to the board, you can pretty much guarantee that you're winning. And you know, if not, then you've frozen 2 back row, and worst case scenario, you pop it for a guy. And if they're chaining stuff, you just pop it, bounce it back with Cardinal where applicable. 3 Tenki, we're good with that. 2 Tensen, this card is very good. Jono and I both played regionals with Tenken and some other cards, and it was kind of nice, but this card just seems all around good. Makes you guys, you know, gain 1,000. You can just flip it to randomly game shot people, you pop it with Rooster, and it just gets you there a lot of the time. Combination with Dragon, of course. Turn 1, Fire Formation, and Dragon gets you this, and then an additional one, and it just puts so much damage and pressure on your opponent that they have to try and break a card that is essentially free from Dragons. So you just keep going with this card, and It just makes all your monsters bigger. Like, that's the main thing. You just want to have bigger monsters than your opponent because their effects are good enough. 3 Fiendish Chain. Fiendish Chain, essentially one of the greatest cards in this format. Very hard to play around for some decks, and it catches a lot of bad players out. If you play this correctly, you'll have a good time in this format. Definitely everyone should run this card. Robbie played this in his hieratic build, and I'm pretty sure he enjoyed his experience with this card. Compulse, expected a lot of hieratics. In the mirror match, it gains value. You clear big monsters. You clear Kagetsuchi, which is a huge card. Good against Gagaga when they've sort of developed a board and you can't break setups like Stardust and Card. It's just all around good card, and you can dodge Bottomless with it and like all this stuff. Recycle Spirit plays and like get Spirit back, pop Leopard on like a turn where you haven't used Leopard. And if they like try and like, you know, new to your board, you can pulse your Spirit back to hand and just play through that. Bottomless is another good card. You know, like every deck except for Prophecy, this gets a lot of value out of, especially the mirror match, which was huge here today. Solemn Warning, standard, Torrential. Again, like against Prophecy, it's kind of average, but everything else is just too good not to run, and it just gets you everything you want it to do. Sideboard. We have 3 mistakes.
What happened to them?
No idea. Mistake is better than DNA surgery against spellbooks because DNA surgery doesn't stop temperance plays, and really, it doesn't stop stuff like secrets, which gets them there a lot of the time. Secrets are present. Resolving this puts them more far behind the DNA, and it just like makes you. Makes your matchup a lot better. Like, as long as this is on the field, you should be winning against spellbooks. So not being able to resolve a Tenki is fine. Not being able to resolve like a Rooster off a special summon is fine, because you're probably putting pressure on, and this card's just securing you. Like, you'll develop boards, like progress game state. You just leave it on the field, and if they get rid of it, then you can combo off. If not, you win. Overworked for the. This wasn't just for Prophecy, this is against other rogue decks, like against Gagaga, it's a good card going first or second. So going first or second, this card's good. Doesn't really hinder you. Gagaga is a dedicated setup deck, so setting this against a turn 1 armor set is good because it lets them brick off their armor. They can't Gigant search. It's good against dragons to a point, depending on the build.
That's right.
And yeah, but like mostly it's just Prophecy. No, not the mirror match, it's a Prophecy sort of card. Overworked.
How was this over the weekend?
It's really good. Basically, it plays a lot like Overworked in the Insector format, the 2012 format. It wasn't really Insector. But Jono's experience with this at Worlds was you play this in the mirror match because if you're able to maintain a guy on the board and they're trying to break your play, this is actually like another Torrential, so it's really good. It's also good against rogue decks like Harpies. It's good against any other deck where, you know, there's boosts. Like, this is good against Insector, this is good against, you know, a whole range of rogue decks where they just try and boost their attack, and you just like fire off, kill their dude, and then next turn summon a bear or just pressure them with another card. Fissure and Soul Drain.
Obvious for the Mermail
matchup and Hieratics. Hieratics, this card was kind of average. This card came in against, you know, almost every deck with a dedicated graveyard, sort of, you know, whatever. Fissure, yeah, like, there's just good cards. Like, even this card, even against the mirror match, is kind of good. And I wouldn't advise siding it in, but like, you know, playing against bad players at my locals who just play this against me, it's really hard for some decks to come back from cards like this. Even decks like Fire Formations and, you know, like Gagaga, because they lose their armors, they lose all their monsters if they're not exceeding. So it's kind of a staple card in the side deck at this point, unless your deck revolves around the graveyard. That's right. Light Imprisoning against Light Swan, Constella, Bujin, Hieratics, it just keeps going and going. Very good card. Blackhorn, Hieratics, when you go first against the mirror match, because if you have a big dude on board, they're going to have to exceed. Against Gagaga, it can be argued because Gagaga can't do anything without, you know, making any seed or a synchro play. All around good card. It acts like another Solemn Warning half the time, which is what you want in this format. Exactly. You just want to keep their monsters off the board while you keep pecking away at them. 3 Mind Crush, essentially the nuts this format. You know, you sided in against Mermail, you sided in against the mirror match, you know. Card's just really good and catches out bad players a lot. Blind Mind Crushing when you're in a losing position. Never a bad play considering you're going to lose anyway, so you may as well go for value. Pick off like a Wolfbark in the mirror match that you don't know. Like losing a card versus losing the game, it just comes down to a whole lot of, you know, like reads and player feels. So that's the side deck. The extra deck, one Horse Prince because you only need to resolve the combo once, and if you don't, then you can still keep going. They've likely wasted a lot of cards. One Lion Emperor, you can resolve the combo again where applicable. You can just do a whole lot of shit. Zenmaines, good card with Spirit, double Rooster, it bricks everything, it's just great. Cowboy gets over monsters, just steals games. Double Dweller because we expected a lot of Hieratic and Mermail, very good card. Good against Dragon Ruler variants too. One Cardinal, which Jono changed last minute, I believe. And we were running 2, but 1 only comes up, you know. Once you resolve 1, you should be fine. People don't know what to do against this card, and it just clears everything you want it to do. 1 Roach. Roach good against Hieratic. Good card, and against, you know, like other decks like Chaos Dragons and shit that you can verse. It was good in theory. I'm not sure how it worked in practice, but in theory it seems like a very good card right now. Crazy Box against Strain. You can summon it, you can roll dice, you can get a little bit crazy, and it's a good card. Kagetsuchi, MVP of the mirror match, MVP of a lot of matchups. It just achieves what you want it to achieve. It sticks on the board, it's a big monster, and it can't die outside of cards like Compulsory, Imprisoning, and shit like that. Tiger King can be a bit of a mauling against it, but it's a very good card. I advise everyone to run it. Some people weren't this weekend, and that's kind of weird. Milling the 5 doesn't matter. And sometimes,
continuous effect.
Sometimes you can mill like a Rooster, you can mill like stuff like that and set your Spirit off, which is good too. 2 Tiger King, card does what it does, negates effects, searches the fire formation. The effect where it's destroyed to pop 3 and special summon also comes up a lot, you know, when you're playing a game where it's like grindy back and forth. You just drop this and you just ruin everyone.
Tiger King, man, so good.
Black Ship of Corn, clears Red Ox. Plays a bunch of cards, gives them 1,000 damage and games them. Just a good card. Diamond Direwolf. You can pop your other dudes, just ruins everyone. Maestro, outs everything.
Number 79.
Jackson Spadaro, number 62. And yeah, that's it. Good deck, wouldn't change a single thing. Great deck, got us to top 4. Good in testing, and all my friends have loved it.
Thanks again, and I think we're getting kicked out, so thanks again, Bowden.
No problem, man.
And yeah.